All right, let's get into an end times clock and that infrared vision in a way, and get into what we have seen on this earth and what we've been tracking and such, and putting together and learning and all those types of things, so we can understand the time of Pluto, Hades, and our sky clock, and the 2045, man's merged with machine, and these types of things laying out, okay? Because the past years and such, I've been tracking so-called different board games being played, and the board, the wood, is the one element of Earth and such that you can't find like on any other planet, so-called. And then the wood connects you to the dragon and those types, okay? And then Elon is part of the wood, the oak tree. All right, so the game of 21, the blackjack, we are seeing with Biden and the auto pin and the dark side of the moon, as Biden and Kamala were the silver lining on the moon. Now we have those silver bells ringing, and we've had the Trojan horse in our nation with the open borders, and we have Somaliland opening up near those Great Lake sessions, in a matter of speaking. As that Dearborn, the Gus, and then the Tim Waltz, all that kind of shit's lining up. And then today we have the HUD stuff with the rentals being paid that I told you for that Bill Clinton time frame with that handicap position. So as the game of 21, the Great Reset has all kind of played out, 2021. And then now we're in that mid-deal time frame, and then the 2028, the 4 tribulations as far as the seals, trumpets, vials, and the king coming to the 2028, coming early, 2024, 2026, 2028, these types of overlays on the clock we've been putting together. But if we track it, we can get to 2045, 2046, 2048, all those types of time frames. And then that's where Trump came in, talked about the 51, 52, so that's talking about the presidencies, and those can overlay with these years and such. So as the wild times, the wilderness comes and such, that first set, the Great Reset, all the third of the stars, all the stuff with the Epstein, Reagan, all this stuff is all coming together. And then that's where it goes out, and then you get a new one coming in that I've told you way back when, as we're a little bit ahead of time on this infrared spectrum when all these things were. Anyway, y'all know the story. If you've been following. If you don't, I can't get into it. There's two, y'all just, it's all there for you, okay? But calendars are part of the delusion. They are a program system. They have days and numbers and months and all those things. They change whenever. Your scriptures or whatever, holy books, they're all numbered for a reason. And there's a script on here, there's a foundational script that the branch is off of, and that's where you get the KJV only. That KJV is the King James Vance, the 1911, the 1-9-11, 45-11, and have the old vice grips and the double vice grips, however you do your little golf swings in different ways, okay? You got babies and holding inside out and whatever. You got trick shots and whatever they got going on in the social media to show you how all these things work in this multi-dimensional universe that's coming down to one man. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that dawn of time's here. This light's shining. He's funding himself as the sun projects itself. You're in the middle of that black hole. And that black hole, that blackjack, that 21, the 21, 2021, and then the 21 on that next blackjack, you're 7 on 7 on 7 on 7, the 28, the king comes, then you have your 7 on 7 on 7, breaking out of that, okay? So this is like that 10, 15, 20 years down the road on America, and these things is coming as this nation divides and the 12 tribes comes with all these different things that we laid out in different spectrums. Okay, so the board games and all these, the bridge, the spades, the golden ticket, the winner, the Willy Wonka, all those things are kind of going in together, all right, as you have these revelational times put upon the earth. And you're right, all these things are like within each person, okay, as you're rising in levels of consciousness, as the spade and the serpent is rising. The serpent's part of that dragon, which is part of the wood, and that tree of life is rising up. But you're going into those winter times. You got to be going into the spring times, or where you're in that nomadic version, where you're going and following the sun, and you're always eating the crops and following the animals and those types of things on this so-called game of life in a spiritual context put upon the earth. So these cards being dealt, these things have been tracking, and all these things, these events and whatever, this is all tied to different games and setting up as we're in the middle time frames. In blackjack, you got the 7 decks, usually the old school. They do the electronic shuffles now a lot of times. It's harder to find the old school decks, but they shuffle up all the decks at once and then they play, and this is where you get the people who learn how to count the cards and whatever. So this is kind of in a spiritual aspect what my page would be about. Is I was brought up into the high place and shown these things in one way, shape, or form. And it was when I heard the trumpet sounding since 2017, 2016, and then the Wuhan came, and then before then you had Obama, the dark sun come, and I knew that was the Antichrist, and I knew Trump was the Antichrist, and I knew Bill Clinton was the Antichrist when I was in high school being taught these things. And then the millennium came out. I was like, something's going on here that they're not putting together out there. And then you had the supercomputers by China, like being talked about in 2003, 2004, or whatever, being able to keep track of 10,000, 20,000 pieces of information per person per second. And then you have all this stuff today. So it's like, fuck, we're here. I mean, we might as well just make sure this operation goes accordingly. Otherwise, I'm not afraid to go live in the fucking tribes with the Africans or whoever and learn how to live like they live. Get the fuck out of here. So, fear not, my brother. That's what we all had on our skateboards back in the day. No fear. What they got you living in? Fear. You fear your own kids. Because they think different. They talk different. Or your grandchildren. Because they're not lights of this world. They're lights for the fucking future. And you don't understand. And you don't understand your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, are those from before in your family. Once you learn all these things and you start having you might start treating people a little differently, and all these little things all go together. But you're upon that lie. Satan, who controls this earth, controls the projection in a way, through the light of so-called Jesus, truth, and justice. And we got the truth and justice coming as the Baal worship. Throw them all in jail. Wicked. Locking a man up in a cage. Well, that's what you're doing from day one anyways. Put into a crib or whatever they're called. I got 5 kids and I still don't know what they're called. Because we don't use them for the most part. Hold the baby. If you think of a natural setting, right? You got predators out there. You got to keep hold of your baby. You don't just go plop it off in the next cave over. The dingo ate you, baby. The dingo. Not Israel. Well, that coral rock or coral reef is coming as it's been scheduled from 1 to 3. And those are the wild times that I told you about. That's where you see all these wild things being talked about. You see, oh, that's wild. All these little different cards are being taken. That's where you have to have the eyes and ears to take this magical scry, this dark image given life. Through the light, God, we're going into the heaven as it's likened into a net. We're giving life and we're exploring this earth, this consciousness of man. These are amazing times, and you're in that labyrinth as that David Bowie has already come and shot you with that Icarus. Anyways, folks, have fun out there, because Trump he's got that fat upper neck.